People generally tend to take credit themselves when things go well and they blame the failure on the external environment. The good feelings, whenever you feel good about your job, whenever you feel great about your work, that is automatically translated from the job satisfaction standpoint. High need achievers have strong desire to assume personal responsibility for performing a task, for finding a solution to a problem. Good morning and welcome to the session 4 in Unit 4, Management of Principles and Practices, where we are going to talk about our motivation theories. This is the second part of the lesson where we are going to speak about the HERZBERG'S motivation hygiene theory. Now, everybody in this world needs to get motivated, no doubt about it. We all struggle for that spring thought process. We all struggle for that initiation. We all need that guidance. We all need that motivation that can make us get things done. So that's where the great management scientist HERZBERG came back and he said, there is some need factor that has to be identified and pushed forward, which will help you to identify the motivational factors and which will help you to do things better. Now, when you look into the two-factor theory of HERZBERG, he conducted a widely reported motivational study of not just one or two, but 200 accountants and engineers employed in a firm around the Western Pennsylvania. Now, what was that all about? He asked the people to describe the important incidents at their job. So what is that they have asked? How do you particularly feel good about the job? When do you feel exceptionally bad? And he used that critical incident method to obtain the data and tell people what exactly is needed here. Now, what happens here is that when the responses were found, analyzed, they were quite interesting, fairly consistent enough. The replies that were given by the respondents felt very good about the job, significantly different from the replies that were given when they are bad. So, reported good feelings were generally associated with job satisfaction, whereas bad feeling was associated with the job dissatisfaction. Now, look into the real part of the story. When you are satisfied about a job, automatically you will speak good about the job. There is no way that you are going to go back and going to crib about what you're doing every day. There is no way that you are going to feel bad about the factor that though you might be doing a lower rung job, but you're happy. Your mind is happy. You are exceptionally well placed. You know that you are going to achieve your goals. You know that any hurdles, any barricades, any barriers are not going to stop you. You are just in the flow to complete your job. Which means any question that is asked about your job, you are going to show the sign of satisfaction, the sign of happiness. And that's what HERZBERG was able to conclude in his report. The good feelings, whenever you feel good about your job, whenever you feel great about your work, that is automatically translated from the job satisfaction standpoint. Whenever you are low, you feel bad, you feel negative about the job that you are doing, that's again emanating from the factor that you are not happy with the job that you are doing. Why this is important in our life, please analyze. Many of us pick up a profession because we feel that the profession pays more. Many of us do a job because we feel that the society gives us a status. It gives us a recognition. It gives us an identity. But then at the end of the day, please ask yourself this question. Are you happy? Are you happy in what you are doing? Are you satisfied in what you are doing? If the answer is yes, it might be any kind of job, but you will be happy. If the answer is no, you might be the CEO of a multinational company, but you don't seem to be happy. So that's why I always say that there are two kinds of motivating factors. One is the hygiene factors, and the other one are the maintenance factors. That where we are going to come into these factors all about. These satisfiers are the motivators here. The other one, which we are going to talk about, the hygiene factor. So one side, you have a key motivator factors. The other side, you have the hygiene factors. Now let's go about it. According to Herzberg, the opposite of satisfaction is not dissatisfaction. Why? The underlying reason he says that is the removal of dissatisfying characters from a job does not necessarily make the job satisfying. He believes in the existing of dual continuum. Now, there are certain things which are quite complex to answer, or rather complex to make people understand. What we have learned in English is all about synonyms and antonyms. But all those synonyms and antonyms do not pronounce the same meaning as intended in our daily walk of life. Now, for example, the opposite of satisfaction is not dissatisfaction, and that's what Herzberg would like to say in his theory. He says that even though you remove those dissatisfying factors from the job, suddenly that job does not become a satisfying job for me. Now, for example, I'm a doctor, but I still feel dissatisfied about my job. Why? Because my mind is not accepting the role what I've taken. So in spite of providing me all kind of facilities, amenities, pay, perks, incentives, still I don't like wearing that white color coat around my body. That is where Herzberg comes and says the differentiating factor between a motivator and that of a hygiene factor. Certain people do a job because they are truly motivated to do it. Certain people do a job or continue to do a job because there are certain hygiene factors attached to it. Now, moving forward, people generally tend to take credit themselves when things go well, and they blame the failure on the external environment. Quite obvious. The word I and the word we are two different things. When things go on well, it is me, it is I. I did it. I made you score. I made you win. I made you to come up in life. But when things go bad, it is the environment, it is they. It is not only me, it is all of us. So that's where what happens here is that people always tend to go forward trying to understand that success is always spelt by me, whereas failures are spelt by them. So it's very, very important. The theory basically tries to make you understand about the job satisfaction and not motivation alone. The real success of an organization, I would always like to say, is that unless and until you can make your employees feel satisfied about what they are doing it, you can never see the success in the organization. The HR might come up with all kinds of fancied policies. The HR might come up with all kinds of motivational factors on you. The HR might come up and give you some of the best stories as far as possible. But nothing is going to work. Nothing is going to make you as interested as possible. Unless and until you feel that the job is really motivating you. If you don't feel that, you're not there at all. Every job satisfaction needs to be measured with certain parameters. Now, for example, you cannot just say the overall factor of a job leads to job satisfaction. It's unlikely that a person may dislike a part of his job, still thinks that the job is acceptable. It doesn't work that way. Job satisfaction is understandable only when you understand the role of the job completely. Only when you understand the responsibilities of the job completely. Only when you understand that it is not results, it is the efforts that are important. As a doctor, going back to my example, I need to understand that my job is 24/7. I cannot go back and complain about the factor that a software engineer works only Monday to Friday, 8 hours a day, clocking about 40 hours a week. And he goes back happy on the weekend. Whereas as a doctor, wearing that same white coat, looking into the four walls of the hospital, I need to slog more than 80 hours a week. But that's fact. I need to struggle. I need to struggle. I'm struggling, or rather I'm putting in that effort because I chose that role. I chose the job. I am a savior to hundreds and thousands of people who visit the hospital seeking help from me. So what is more important here is that the job satisfaction cannot be measured out of one or two factors, or job satisfaction cannot be set that by setting one or two parameters here and there. Job satisfaction can be attained, can be achieved only when you have understood the job completely. Only when you feel that yes, you can deliver the job in spite of challenges ahead of you. So that's where Herzberg comes back and says that it is all more about job satisfaction and that's just not talking about the motivation factors here. Followed by, even the job satisfaction measured on the overall basis, it's like to see that people might dislike it. This theory neglects the situational variable to motivate an individual. So what we try to see here is that it just takes away that situational factors. There are certain situations which will actually make you happy, which will actually make you sad also. So this theory itself will neglect that factor and motivate to an individual factor, because this is not something where we can just generalize and say that every time the same thing will happen. Sometimes this is not true at all. Sometimes this is applicable to certain situations only. So where Herzberg fails, probably failed, is that he neglects that situational factor. Now, let's move on to the next theory called as the Macklin's needs theory. It's a very, very well-known theory as opposed to the hierarchy and satisfaction, dissatisfaction. This theory is based on Henry Murray's long-developed list of motives and manifest that needs that usually come up at the earlier part of the studies. Now, what is it? Through the research, Macklin identified the three characteristics of a high-need achiever. High-need achievers have strong desire to assume personal responsibility for performing a task, for finding a solution to a problem. Now, let me start with this question to you. Are you a high achiever? Do you believe that achievement is everything in your life? Do you believe that success is really important in your life? Do you believe that success is everything in your life? If the answer to these questions are yes, that means you are a high-need achiever. But what is that first characteristic of a high-need achiever is that you assume personal responsibility. You're not a kind of person who's going to shy away from the responsibility. You are a kind of person who believes that, yes, I'm ready to take that responsibility. It might be challenging, it might be tiring, it might be sometimes pulling you down. It might be sometimes in such a way that you're just boggled down by all sort of people, by all sort of comments, by all sort of ideas that is being thrown on you. But you are not bothered. You are still a winning horse. You still believe that in spite of challenges being thrown to me, I consider them as stepping stones. I consider them as the levels of the ladder. Just keep moving forward and I achieve my goals. That's exactly where a high-need achiever, they have a strong desire. They have that ability. They have that mental command. They have that factor in the mind that yes, I will do it. Come what may. I will take it, I will do it. And that's where they become a true leader. That's where they become a true achiever at any given point of time. Now, the high-need achievers tend to set moderately difficult goals and take calculated risks. This factor is very, very important. And that is very, very important. Why? Because they have achieved it, they have made it, and they have told it very clearly that they have set difficult goals. No doubt about it. But they have taken the calculated risk also. They've understood that there is some risk factor associated with it. That's not a fact that, I'll just avoid the risk. I am going to take the risk factor included. But yes, that has been on a calculated basis. They're not just going to say that it is done. It's over. Every risk is already calculated. No, that's not the answer here. The answer is that I've calculated the risk in the mind. I know that this job will involve this, so I'm ready to take it and go further. The third thing is that they have a strong desire for a performance feedback. They love this. They come back and ask for feedback. Am I good? What did I do? Was it right? Was it good enough? Was it something above the expectations, below the expectation, or just met the expectations? What am I? Why? Because feedback is something that they really bother about. Feedback is not something that just they go about it or they are just happy about it. They are persons who believe it very, very strongly that yes, they have done it. They are people who believe that their feedback is always counted. They are persons who believe that the performance is always on the high standards. Why? Because whenever you look for a feedback, you're trying to improve yourself. You're not trying to disimprove. You're not trying to throw away yourself from the group. You're not trying to say that things are going down. But on the other side, you are believing it very, very clearly here that things are moving forward. You are able to bring in a lot of success. That's why I would always say that high need achievers have a strong desire for the performance feedback. They believe in that. They simply say that, yes, we will do it. We will come forward. No doubts about it. So that's why I say that the high need achievers have that need, that always I need a feedback on whatever I do. Followed by the need for power. The need for power is concerned with making an impact on others, the desire to influence others, the urge to change people, and to desire to make a difference in life. Power is a very, very complicated subject to be spoken about. Why? Power is not something where we associate it only with authority, with command, or with the deliverance capacity. Power is all about how you are able to convince people, how you are able to influence people in their thought, in their action, in their ideas, and how you are able to tell the people very clearly how we can change the world together. So power is something how you bring difference in somebody's life. So when you say that you are powerful, you are influential, that means your ideas could definitely spark a betterment in somebody's life. Power will definitely help you to understand that, yes, we are doing something better than what we were doing yesterday. Now, for example, people require that high power. They need that power because they believe that events, situations, people can be changed. They get an ultimate satisfaction on that. You will be able to change a situation. You will be able to bring in better dynamics. Now, for example, let me just bring you the ideology of how Louis Gretzner, the former great CEO of IBM, how when he was taken up from a biscuit manufacturing company, Nabisco, and when he became the CEO of IBM, and when he also wrote the great book, one of the best books in management, which says that who said elephants can't dance. If you go through that book, he says it very, very clearly how he was able to transform the culture at IBM, how he was able to bring a dynamic performance in IBM. The reason is that he believed power was needed for the change purpose. Power was not needed to just for control. Power needs as a factor of change. Power does not need as a factor of control. It doesn't mean that I'm the CEO of the company, which means I keep holding people together. I put them into multiple task zones. Power means that you have the power to change people's idea. You have the power to change the thought process of people. You can bring in new ideas. You can bring in new thought process. You can make people how they see things. So this is exactly where the power factor comes in. And that's what McLaren says, that many people are, especially the high need achievers, are in need of power because they believe that power can make them perform better. They can really take them to the next level as far as possible. Now the next one. People who have that high need of power are normally characterized by a desire to influence somebody directly, desire to exercise control, and to maintain that leader-follower relationship. Now this is something quite interesting to see. Why? Because I love power because I want somebody to get influenced by me. That's exactly where power comes into picture. So whenever you speak on a social media, you speak in TV channels, or you speak in any part of the world, people love to see you on the screens. People love to see your voice. People love to, listen to all your activities that's being done. People want to understand who you are. So you are trying to influence millions of people across the world. So you need to be powerful. Second thing, you want to exercise control. You want to hold their thoughts. You want to hold their opinions. You want to hold their ideas together. So that's where you need power. Power says that you have a control to control the mind of people. Control not just the physical activities, physical movement, but you have that controlling power to hold the mind of people. Now that's where you become powerful. When people talk, your mind gets attracted. That's where this desire of power comes. And then the last, the leader-follower relationship. Somewhere down the lane, It makes you feel that I am a leader and hundreds and thousands of people are following me. Rather, they like me. They love to be a part of me. And that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Why? Because we all love to become that at one point of time. We all want to become a leader where we will have n number of followers. We all believe that being a leader automatically generates followers. Being a leader automatically creates a crowd. Being a leader automatically tells people that there is a leader, follow him, understand him, do exactly what is being told by the leader. Now that relationship that you create in the world, in the mindset of the people, that is even more interesting. Why? Because now people have started looking you like a demigod. You have almost reached the position of a godmanship altogether. And that's where the need of power is even more discussed with all enthusiasm. Followed by the need for affiliation. Now, this is even more interesting. Why? Because you want to establish and maintain friendly, warm relationship with others. There's an affiliation. People love to get introduced to you. People love to get understand by you. They want to join you. So exactly how Maslow had told in his social needs, that affiliation concept. I want to get associated with you. I want to know more about you. So when you become a member of the Lions Club, when you become a member of a cosmopolitan club, when you become a member of a sports club, your affiliation, your association with that club gives you a status, gives you an identity in the society. You don't go to the club every day. You don't play golf every day. You don't play billiards every day. But the association of saying that I'm a sports club member, I'm a cosmopolitan member, I'm an X member, I'm a Y member, gives you a sort of feeling that you are getting associated with something powerful, something meaningful, and something that is identified in the society. So that's what exactly this affiliation comes into picture. Now, every time when you get affiliated to something, what you really want to build is a relationship. You don't just want to build a name. You don't just want to build a one-man army stand there. What you want to build is a relationship, a very close contact relationship where you want people to understand, to appreciate, to be with you till the last. So that's where this affiliation comes into picture. Followed by the people with a high need for affiliation will have the characteristics. They have a strong desire for acceptance and approval from others. Very much, yes. They tend to conform to the wishes of the people whose friendship and companionship they value. They value the feelings of others. Very, very important. Just look into it. Acceptance and approval. Whatever I do, if people start accepting and approving it, I'm very happy because I'm getting approved as a leader. I'm getting accepted by the society. That's more important for me. Followed by, they tend to conform the wishes of the people whose friendship and companionship. So every time I'll come back, I'll ask you, are you happy? This is what you wanted? Can I do something for you? Can I make you still happy? Can I do something to, make you even more better? So I want to confirm whether people are truly happy with me. They are truly understanding me, so that I'm getting into the world of a relationship, a companionship zone altogether. They value the feelings. That's very, very important. So when you are sad, I understand why you are sad. When you are feeling down, I come down to you and I start speaking to you so that you are comforted. So that's exactly, I value the feelings. I share your happiness and I divide your sadness. I understand that every time when you are sad, when there is some problem, there's always a shoulder available, and that's me. You can always share your problems with me. That's exactly where I say value the feelings. This is very, very important characteristics when we speak about the affiliation. Now comes the McGregor's participation theory, where he followed two distinctive types. One is called as the theory X and the other one is called as the theory Y. Now, what is this theory all about? Well, we're going to talk about the human participation. The first one is that the theory X is based on the following assumption. People are by nature indolent. That means they like to work as little as possible. No, I don't want to work much. 9 to 5, I'm very happy because that's what I'm designated all about. I just love this word called as 9 to 5 because after 5 o'clock, I don't want to work. People lack ambition, dislike responsibility, prefer to be directed by others. Simply fantastic. That's what exactly I want. I am a person who does not have ambition. I am a person who hates growth. I am a person who does not like responsibility, and I like to be directed. I want somebody to come and tell me, please do your job. It has to be submitted tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock. Wow. Now I get that call. Now I get the reminder in my mind. I get an alarm call in my mind saying that please do it. So I lack ambition, I lack direction, and I lack everything that's possible for a leader. Followed by, they are inherently self-centered, indifferent to organization needs and goal. What is organization for me? Is it that building where there are about 5-6 floors, some 500 to 1,000 people working? Doesn't bother me at all. Why? Because in that building, I'm only concerned about me. I want my salary, I want my needs, I want my things to be satisfied as far as possible. I am least bothered about what happens to the company. What happens to the policy, the mission statement. Probably these are Latin and Greek for me, so I'm not a kind of person of that origin at all. So I'm not going to bother about it at any given point of time. So that is why I always say that it is more important for me to think about me alone. I'm just self-centered. I'm there in that world. Now, people are generally gullible and not very sharp and bright. I'm one of the most dull-headed persons there. That's exactly what Theory X says. I'm a kind of person who doesn't want to apply my brain for any kind of factors given. I don't want to waste my time thinking upon something that is being given to me. Can I do it in a better way? Can I save time? Can I do things in a much more appreciable manner? Why should I think about it? I'm a Theory X kind of a person. I just believe that 9 to 5, I work in an organization, the clock ticks 5 o'clock and I say goodbye. That's exactly a Theory X personality. No much of responsibility, no much of clarity, no intelligence, no responsibility taken, and I don't want any point of time a leadership role. I just love to be directed by somebody. Followed by the Theory X and the Theory Y also comes on the following association. On the contrary, when I talk about the Theory Y, they are people by the nature who are passive interests. They are not gone into the passive world, they are resistant, they want to assume responsibility, they take their organization to a succession zone, they are capable of directing, they have the need to the achievement factor. So when the Theory X is based on those assumptions, you will start looking into Theory Y, which is assuming that people are the opposite of Theory X. So Theory Y is opposite of the Theory X category altogether. That's what we have to learn here. Theory Y people are one who like to take responsibility, who are passionate about their job, who want their organization importance, who also feel that they need to be self-directed, they need to have a passion for achievement. Now, the Theory X is also based on this assumption factor. As we go down, he tries to say that according to McGregor, in his theory of X and Y, it is trying to outline the extremes to draw the fencing between which we, in an organizational man, which is usually seen to behave. But the fact remains that organizational man would actually belong to X or Y. So inside an organization, you will see either an X factor or a Y factor. You can't see both. You can't see a combination and say he's X into Y. No, that's not the combination. You'll always see either an X factor or a Y factor. Why does this happen? People draw their own boundaries. They say that I belong to this group or I belong to that group. Either I'm a passionate, achievement-oriented personality or I'm a kind of person who does not have any ambition. I'm happy. Now, in reality, he or she shares the traits of both. That actually happens. Now, that's where what I'm trying to say is that a man can swing from here to here or vice versa. But this change factor in mood, the change factor in attitude is not always that we are going to look in. There are times when people from the X will swing to the Y and Y will swing into X. This is possible because we believe that there are sometimes man needs to change his preferences. He needs to work upon his thoughts and ideas altogether. With this, I come to the end of this particular session. I hope and believe that all the resources that have been provided here through this presentation will be of great help to you both in terms of theory and practice. In the upcoming session, we will continue to talk about some other factors and theories of management which are helpful in terms of identifying the motivation and the directing part. But until then, stay tuned, stay blessed, and stay enlightened forever. Thank you once again for joining me today on this wonderful session.